Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Price, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the third volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra as Eli Sharp, and Della Borovic as Morgan Rawls. The Inquisitorial Band have been running drills to prepare for boarding actions. Attikus took to the role of playing an abomination from the warp. Morgan was questioned by Ivanikoth about the xenos and chaos cultists on her homeworld. Eli developed an addiction to Sniff-Musk, and Valentyne continued to steer his many plans in motion. What will the ship at the final waypoint reveal? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
From a posted review of North Star Haulers. I simply don't know if I can trust my important cargo to a company that can lose 2 of its tugs. 0 stars. Marnie's song has arrived at the edge of an artificial asteroid, not even belt, more so just a giant floating space orb of asteroids. On any screen that we would be filming this on, top to bottom, just large chunks of stone floating. There is a ship on the edge of this asteroid field that you have identified as the kind of on your path inward, searching for Inquisitor Cainhurst's ship and the corpse of Deverum Gnarl. As you pulled up, Grimly Moody, your pilot, your erstwhile pilot, who definitely follows drills to the letter, had warned you that there was a repeating signal coming through of just a clipped, help me, help me, help me, that was cycling over and over, and had just turned to you, Valentyne, and asked what to do. As you'll recall, you're following a series of beacons that were sort of, the first of which was psychically imprinted on both Eli and Morgan as a failsafe to find Cainhurst should he ever go missing. You followed this quite a ways away from Last Gleaming. You're just on the fringes of the sector now, kind of very, very far from anything resembling civilization. And yet you found this small, rusted ship. Again, you can kind of think size-wise, somewhere in like the Milano from Guardians of the Galaxy, or like a Pelican from Halo, but badly made. Like this is some slapped together, patched up, rusted piece of shit ship that's clearly seen a lot of action. It's clearly been well taken care of, but it does not reek of crowns, if that makes any sense. Thrones is the money in our universe. Does not reek of thrones, and it certainly doesn't reek of proper Imperium backing. This isn't like a rogue trader ship or something that's been officially sanctioned. It's clearly just kind of some spacefaring folk trying to make their way in the world.
Well, the rules of the Spaceway are that we should always respond to any SOS. However, we are not going to risk this ship or our mission overall. Eli, Attikus, my quarters. Grimly, keep all weapons aimed on that ship, and I want scanners on it and the surrounding area. I do not want to be surprised by chugging pirates on our journey here.
Yes, roger that, Inquisitor. I'm on it. And he quickly looks at Attikus and then quickly looks back to his instruments and begins scans.
Eli says, yeah, aye, sir, clicks his heels and goes towards his quarters.
Perfect. So Valentyne will lead the charge and also stop off at a hidden locker that Eli could not find that has Eli's fucking weapons in it.
Are you going to reveal where this locker is to him in this moment? Or would you do this? Would you meet them in your quarters, go to the place, get the stuff, and then deliver it?
I guess it's like an extra well-hidden compartment or something, right?
Yeah. I mean, Billingberg was up to a bunch of nefarious, no good deeds. And honestly, you get the sense that, if you hadn't murdered him, if someone would just stop this ship, all of his I'm clearly part of a conspiracy shit would be packed away in some of these hidey holes. It's a little bit like the secret pathways through the ship that Morgan found. There's just a lot of nefarious hiding spots throughout the ship. Unfortunately, he got murdered without thinking anyone would get on his ship, so he just left everything out to be found, as indeed it did. So yes, this is a very well hid compartment, such that even Eli would have to strip the ship to find it, is I think the answer.
Then Valentyne will go get it and just meet them at the quarters with the shit, because it's useful to have a couple of secrets on board.
Do the listeners get to know where this compartment is?
Yes. Tom, where's the compartment?
Son of a bitch. I was like, yeah, Ryan, where is it? It's like, okay, fine.
I mean, if you want to throw it at me, I'll take it.
No. I think it's... we'll say that there's like a one of those weird bulkheads that kind of comes out off of a wall that contains a water heater. That is one of several throughout the ship. However, it's been built artificially large. So if you know where to look, like just at casual glance, and even to a seasoned like shipman like Eli, it just looks like a water heater compartment. However, Valentyne, when looking through Billingberg's records, he clearly found he'd had it built overly large. The heating unit is actually smaller. It's one of the reasons the showers on the ship are actually always a little bit shy on hot water, in a way that everyone has quietly clocked, but no one really thinks anything of. And it's one of several places, but more importantly for you, it's large enough that you could easily hide like his gun, amongst other things.
Great. So Valentyne will collect that and then go back to his quarters, open the door, invite you both inside, sit behind his desk. Eli, he will just hand you your backpack full of guns. It's yours.
Eli, his mouth opens for a second and then he closes it. Just remembering it's has to earn them back. This was expected.
Excellent. Friends, I'm going to be sending you over to that ship. We're going to need to do this in EVA suits. I cannot risk a boarding link between this ship and that ship not knowing what is aboard it. I need information about what has happened to this world, about what has happened in this system, about what has happened to that ship. If there's anything of interest, I want to know. Also, because I have to specify this, neither of you have permission to die on this mission. That is considered unacceptable. You are to return.
Yes,
this
sir.
is a diversion at best, and I hate being diverted pointlessly.
Never died on a mission yet, sir.
No lie.
And I think that is the first moment Valentyne has a moment of being speechless in just his entire career as an Inquisitor, just not knowing how to respond to that kind of relentless optimism from someone who's not him. Well, the Emperor's with you both. Suit up. I'll have Grimly get us as close as possible so you can send yourselves over. I'm not going to risk any other members of the crew. And I really, really hope we don't have to rescue you, but I will have a team standing by. Any questions?
Sir. Are we to keep communications open between us and the ship here?
Yes,
or would
absolutely.
You like us?
That'll allow you to follow up with me. Should you have any technical issues where you need to get through doors or into systems, I can make sure Gideon Kotov is available. And should you need spiritual assistance, Father Marcellus will be close by the line.
Will it be
Very
helpful
good.
to bring any bodies back?
Let's see what you find. If the bodies are of interest, perhaps. If they are not, I don't know. There could be no bodies. Also, this could just be pirates. I cannot stress how much this is just likely to be pirates. So just be ready for pirates.
Aye,
Yes, sir.
Dismissed. Make yourselves ready.
Tom, is there any concern for Attikus to have over EV suits and his atypically shaped body? That is one massive mechanical arm being about 3 feet tall.
He's just getting
For the record, I'm never going to
He's
accept.
3 feet tall now?
No, he is a reasonable height.
He just
He's
towers
Benjamin
over.
Buttoning, but for height. It just gets smaller and smaller.
Quinny is his dad.
Yeah. That's what we call a cross-show synergy. Tyler, I think if we look at NASA, that would be a huge problem because those suits are very specifically you got to be this height to, space. But given
not a lot of room for customization on those.
No. But given like the propensity in 40K for, like, oh, we need to send an Adepticus Mechanicus over. Well, he's got 8 saws for arms. And it's like,
okay.
How do we protect the fleshy bits? I'm kind of thinking of this almost in like Darth Vader terms, where it's like there's a small amount of organic matter that must be protected. And then there's the inorganic matter that can be exposed to vacuum. So I imagine, particularly given that Billingberg was loaded, that there are modular suits. That, not unlike the khakis to shorts I insisted on wearing in high school, have lots of zippers and things to just let you customize it, based on your mood.
Yeah. All right. So then,
sorry,
Attikus
folks, I'm taken. But
Attikus then has a full EV suit with the right arm off and just his artificial arm
100%. Yeah, and I think you'd be able to seal it. There'd be like an easy way to temporarily seal it.
Okay.
Over you. Eli, what's your experience with EVA been? Have you done a lot of that, or have you mostly been like,
baby? Yeah. I don't know where that came from, but
I like it.
Yeah, because Eli had to he had to be prepared. He had to make sure that everyone on the ship was prepared for all sorts of eventualities, which included like loss of atmosphere, blah blah blah. So it's like secondhand to him.
Great.
And should be to everyone on board.
You yell down a hallway to no one. Yeah. Okay, amazing. So, yeah, Attikus and Eli, you get suited up. And again, I think by 40K standards, these are like incredibly nice EVA suits. We're talking, surprisingly few spikes. But very much, I am kind of thinking in a little bit more form-fitting NASA terms, but without all the heavy metal gear, just kind of like almost like a fireproof suit kind of situation. So bulky enough that your gear fits under it comfortably enough, but form-fitting that you're not doing the Michelin Man space float. And
so
again,
they're not like encumbering us.
No. They're specifically in terms of your rolls and things.
Yeah.
They won't. If you're trying to do anything overly dexterous, they would probably hinder you a bit. But in terms of your general movement, it's uncomfortable and a little bit awkward, but certainly doable.
Cool.
So Grimly brings the ship up. When you kind of return to the bridge, he has brought the ship a bit closer, having received several scans now. Unfortunately, there was a ton of interference from the asteroid belt, which he relays to Valentyne as cause for concern. Obviously, with radar pinging off all of these rocks, that is prime pirate Heidi territory. That said, no life signs from the ship, minimal operating systems, no weapons powered up. The drive seems to be non-functional, which again doesn't belay any of the fears about it being like the cheese on the trap, but does imply that you probably won't get like instantly iced if and when you arrive aboard. So he kind of turns to you, Valentyne. He says, "Right, so, sir, I'm going to recommend we don't get too close, just in case." There is jaws of a trap ready to kind of spring here. I can certainly bring us around, essentially line up our one of our. Oh my God, I can't even remember the name for this. I need to.
It's an airlock, I believe.
Sci-fi. Thank you. I've not watched sci-fi in too long, I guess.
No.
I'm like, airlocks. Those things Rosalind loves putting fucking Cylons out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says, sorry, I'm just real concerned about these pirates. We'll line up the airlock as best we can with the other ship. From the looks of our initial scans, this thing looks like it was pretty fast back when it was working. I don't really see any clear way in, but it is kind of ramshackle. Looks like it's been repaired with bits of other ships over time. So my guess is probably easiest to just kind of cut a hole in the side if you want to go in, unless you can find an airlock somewhere on there. You probably can if you dig around a bit, but there's none that are too easily visible from here. Does that work for you all?
Yes,
Works
that
for
makes
me.
sense to me. And he'd trigger the comms to where they're getting suited up and just say, Attikus, you could bring along something if you'd like to cut through the hull, but I do know that you have what one could call perhaps a can opener in your right arm that could make your own entrance.
Knocking on doors is one of my specialties, sir. Whether there's a door or not.
Well, why don't we try and go through the hatch so we're not, damaging any vital systems?
Oh, you're no fun at all. Right, fine.
Before we just completely assume, Eli, how long does it take you to open a hatch if it has no power?
Apologies, sir. There was a miscommunication. I mean, punch through at the hatch.
Yes. So, Attikus, you still get to break in. I just want to point out, unless this is going to have some sort of miraculous addition to our quest, I don't give a shit about this ship. So find out what we need that helps us, but please don't spend time protecting it. We're not going to strip it for parts. I don't care about the value of the metal. We're the Inquisition. This is space garbage unless it's useful.
Crystal clear, sir.
Aye, aye.
So with that, you gear up and you make your way down to the airlock. So you're still a ways away from the ship, which means you do have some space to cover. How do you intend to get from here to there? Again, keeping in mind you do have the resources of the ship available. You can go ask for things, but I'm curious, kind of Eli and Attikus. I guess Eli specifically, you've done this before, so how would Eli want to get over there?
Do we have I can't remember the name from it, but like the little air,
Like the
air
propulsion system?
shooty things? Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. I think external repairs to the ship would likely be done by servitors and that sort of thing that have their own propulsion systems, rather than assuming the crew would have them. So you can try and rig some up, but
Yeah. No, I mean, ideally, then we'd have some sort of kind of like mag lock, like something attached to like some sort of like wire that could attach to
Like
the
a
ship.
zip
We could
line
literally
almost?
essentially a zip line that can't zip line down because gravity, but
I understand what you mean. Like
Across?
basically,
put a little, attach yourselves with a little carabiner,
Yeah.
Yeah, this place is just filthy with carabiners. Just carabiners everywhere. Okay, yeah. I was going to make you roll for that, but that doesn't really... I don't think that requires a roll, really. I think it's safe to say there's probably... I don't think it'd be a maglock system necessarily. Basically, the problem that you're running into with this ship is it's really well equipped to a point, and that point is rich person who has minions. So it's like, yeah, I don't need thrusters on my suits because I got robots that'll do that for me, or I'll just fly back to base and they'll do it. I don't need mag locks because why would I ever need that? I've got people who do that for me. But something like a tow cable, I think, is an easy enough thing to find. So you rig that up. What I will have you do, I think, is one of the two of you, I'll have you roll to fire it. Just to see how effectively it latches. Again, given that this is a tool that is not purpose-built for this, but that could very easily be used for this, I just want to see kind of where we fall on that.
Sure.
So which of the two you do you think would be firing the harpoon, as it were?
I mean, Eli would be definitely.
Yeah. Yes.
He would automatically take that upon himself.
All right, so Eli, we're just going to call this a ranged check. I'm going to say it's difficulty 2 because it's a non-moving target. It's only it has difficulty because it's a bit awkward, but it's not, it's not spinning. We're not in a Sandra Bullock gravity situation where everything's moving all the time. It's like, no, you can just line it up and fire, so that's fine. You've got all the time you want, so no disadvantage for the suit.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think we'll just call it, honestly, a straight 2 purple
Perfect.
check.
I'm happy to
because
do
also
that.
being in zero G wouldn't hinder your ability to aim. It might throw off some other things, or like if you had recoil that you had to account
Yeah,
for.
but I'd like brace myself against, the door.
You can't
I
say that
love when
word.
people
You can't
brace
say
in
that
Genesis
word.
systems.
Fuck.
Yep. My therapist just paid $200.
This
Congratulations.
is a 4-letter word for Tom.
Brace can't hurt you now. It can, doctor. It can.
All right, so I've got 2 green and 3 yellow against 2 purple.
Great. Also, we haven't done. It's been a hot second since we played.
Yeah.
So, from a story point perspective,
I have notes on where we were last session, but if you want to give us notes,
hit me with
Yeah.
those.
it was 2 for us and 3 for you. Is what
Yeah,
we
I
left
had
off.
that too.
That is actually what I was going to recommend for this particular scenario.
Oh,
So,
isn't that nice?
look at that. Look at that serendipity. It's John Cusack's hanging out here. All right, great. So Eli, go ahead and
Rolling.
fire.
That's what Eli named his harpoon gun, John Cusack.
Come on, Johnny boy. 5 successes, 2 advantages.
Whoosh.
Hey, baby.
Hell
Eli's
yeah.
built for this shit.
A ladder
yeah.
bursts from the line, as well as like a small, chair lift. That's a great shot. So yeah, Eli, this is far from your first rodeo. You manage to hook it as it's like anytime Batman shoots the grappling hook anywhere, where it like spins around a bunch and then hooks. Like it's a really really secure connection.
Nice.
And you feel it go taut almost immediately. And honestly, for all of the shit that we give him, Grimly is a damn good pilot, and he's lined this up very, very cleanly for you. So you're able to move across with ease. Who's going first?
I feel like Attikus would volunteer to go first once he saw that the line was secured. He would. If it makes sense for a shock trooper like him to be the first across in case there's any hostilities.
Yeah. Plus, Attikus is going to be punchy.
Yeah.
So,
The closer he is to stuff, the better. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, great. So Attikus, you'll be going first. I don't think we need rolls for this. I think this is a task you can accomplish just by kind of doing it. If we were like launching across, that'd probably be a different thing. But if you're just carabiner,
If you're running and jumping, yeah.
yeah, or just like, hang on, I'm gonna vent the room, like off you go. That kind of shit.
Bye. Sorry, it's space. You can't hear
Laura
anything.
rolls up a new character. Okay, great. So, Attikus, you begin to drag yourself across. This is kind of a moment for you in a lot of ways, because aside from that time you almost got sucked down an airlock, you've never been outside a
I've
ship
never
in space.
spacewalked.
Yeah, so you have kind of I think someone of Atticus's disposition there's like an appreciation for the beauty of what you're seeing around you that is overshadowed by the fact that you're also fully prepared to get ambushed by pirates the whole fucking time. Like it's like far too quiet. I think that awful kind of reverberating breath
Hearing your own breathing in your helmet. Yeah.
is
sure.
is probably quite a lot. You've got those little blue lights on your face that they use in movies to make sure that we can still see the actors' faces in space. You make your way across. Eli, how closely behind him would you be following?
I give him some space, but not too much. 5 meters.
Okay, great. So Attikus,
15 feet.
there we go. Attikus, you reach the ship without incident, other than again just the tension of waiting for things to happen. And Eli, you follow soon thereafter. There's also like a weird tension in being the second person, off the boat onto the beach. But there's literally no action. Everything is quiet. Possibly too quiet.
It's the vacuum of space. So
It's space.
Yeah, in
Of course it is.
Space. But the two of you arrive on the ship. Now, the good news with this ship being kind of a ramshackle DIY project is there are a hell of a lot of handholds. You can see up
Awesome.
close that it really does just look like a bunch of different ships welded together. Kind of wherever something broke, they would just weld on a new piece as best they could. That said, I think, Eli, you would probably notice the artistry involved, though, that despite the kind of random nature of the build, the work is excellent, even if the ship itself is a bit of a mess. It's not like an orc vehicle that's kind of been like bolted together. It's like good enough. Wow, like someone has clearly spent the time to make sure that all the weird shapes are sealed, that everything is properly built.
Eli clocks it, gives like a little nod of approval to no one.
Laura, what had we given you a few sessions ago, refresh my memory, for your understanding of the ship when you were kind of digging around? I want to say we'd gone with like a... almost want to say vigilance might be a tech use. But basically, I'd like you to roll to see if you can find the hatch in this mishmash, in this gumbo ship.
Okay. I think I'd put it... I don't know if this is what we used before, but I think I would put it at... honestly, tech use.
Yeah, I'd buy tech use as well.
Yeah.
I also think this is a different case than the other one, because the other one you're just like walking around, like, how well do I know hallways? And this is like, how well can you figure out someone's busted up old beater car that they still somehow keep running? Okay, great. So let's go to tech use. I'm going to say it's a difficulty of 3. Again, not that the search, like there's nothing impeding your search other than just like it's awkward to be looking around in a spacesuit and moving around. I'm going to give you a setback from having to do this in 0G. You are accustomed to this, but most of your 0G training, I think, is in combat, not in, engineering. So it's a little bit awkward. I'll give you a boost because the ship isn't actually that large. There's just not that many places it could be hiding. Anything else anyone wants to argue for here?
I don't think so.
All right. I will roll. Oh, baby. 2 successes, 1 triumph. Ooh. There it is.
Great. Yeah, honestly. You shot it with the harpoon. The harpoon is sticking out of it like a fucking arrow. No, you didn't shoot it with the harpoon because then opening it would be a real problem for you. So, you're able to find it. I think maybe Eli, it's actually, even though it's been welded off another ship, it's like a ship design you recognize. I get the sense that you're kind of like one of those like old men of a certain generation who just have like a lot of books on boats, where it's just like they just know about a bunch of sailboats. They've never been on them. They're never going to be on them. They just have like diagrams of boats and are like, that's where the keel is. Yeah. Like, so you recognize.
Appreciates definitely like the tactical builds of things that are meant for war.
Well, I think also just knowing like, okay, well, if I was going to, like, I think your version is like what I do in the bank where I'm like, if ninjas attack me right now, and for you it's just like, okay, well, if I was going to breach this kind of ship, what door would I need to find? Oh, that's a good one. That would be where I would go. So it's not in that place on this ship. You just recognize the door from where it would be on a different ship. Okay, great. So having clearly identified the hatch, Attikus, I believe you are the one who knocks.
Yes. Attikus would open up the comms, though, and just reach out and say,
Attention, Marty's song. This is Attikus Viz. Do you read me?
Yes, Colonel, we read you.
We've located the hatch, sir. Preparing to breach.
Excellent. The Emperor be with you.
And also with you. And with your spirit.
or whatever they say for like churches.
No. I like the classics, Attikus. We can just go with it also with you. The new stuff bugs me.
In the background, Father Marcellus is just like,
Eli will at this point unclip his chain axe and have it ready in one hand.
Nice.
So one arm is like holding, one hand's holding tightly.
Yeah.
And the other is just like fucking ready.
That's some proper fucking Corsair shit, huh? Just like leaning off the boat with a chain axe. Yum.
That's rad. I will, Attikus will brace against, sorry for using the word, I didn't even think about it.
That's right. Mary is up 400 today. Good work, Mary.
Will brace against the exterior of the ship and bring his mechanical hand down to pound into the hatch.
All right, let's do that thing. So this we'll call this again a melee attack, Attikus.
Okay.
Difficulty of 2, as with such things. I am going to spend a story point on this one, just because it's a significant thing. I am going to give you a boost for stationary target. Also, I believe your Power Fist has specific boosts associated with breaching.
It has. It's called Breach. I ignore 2 for every point in Breach that this has. I ignore that many points of vehicle armor.
Oh,
so
cool.
this is the Power Fist is Breach 2. So
Okay,
2 points of
that's great.
vehicle armor are ignored.
Sweet.
So
It's going to make this very easy on you. Okay, great. Cool. I think that's everything I would throw on this. Anything?
I think I'm going to use a story point also because of the Out in Space, certainly novel for Attikus, but putting holes in stuff with his hand is what he does.
And what he does is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Snicked. Yeah, okay, I like that. Cool. So I think that's it then. Go
right.
ahead and roll them bones.
Oh, we're actually almost low on successes. 2 successes, 5 advantages, 1 triumph.
Okay. Well, that is bold.
Wow.
You
a
punch
bold
through
flavor.
and pull out Devereaux Gnarl.
Yeah, it turns out this door is made of Chaos Space Marine. What? So you punch through easily with those successes plus your breach effect. Like, this thing doesn't stand much of a chance. So you tear in a nice sort of easy breach. I'll say, because you have a triumph, I'll give you the option. Do you want to do this in such a way that you could easily close it behind you? Or are you just going to rip this thing off because fuck it?
I think because of the kind of guy that Attikus is, it is more of a ripping off.
Great.
Yeah.
Totally fine. So you punch through. It's spectacular. And Attikus and Eli, you make your way into the small ship. Meanwhile, back aboard the Marnie's Song, Grimly has managed to pull a signature off the ship. It is registered as the Iron Kestrel, and
Sweet name.
is registered as sort of like a jack of all trades ship, which you would certainly know, Valentyne, generally means like bounty hunters or
Something shady, yeah.
something shady. Yeah. Not smugglers, because smugglers would come up with a better name. But something vaguely shady. Listed as having a crew of 4. No recent records from the ship. So Grimly turns to you, Valentyne, and just says, right, well, I'm still not getting any signals other than the one coming off the ship, but it's the damnedest thing, sir. It almost seems like the ship is acting as a relay. I don't think it's got enough power to actually be transmitting a signal, you know?
Interesting. Can we backtrace this signal to its true source?
I mean, yeah, particularly with a couple of boots on the ground over there, we could definitely, I think, sort that. I'm still not getting any signatures of pirates, sir, but we're standing by.
Excellent. Yes, let's keep an eye on this. But yes, if we can trace this relay back to its original source, that's highly fascinating. Feel free to use the line to give them specific instructions on what you need. And if it becomes more technically complicated than we'd prefer, we can sort out Magi Gideon Kotov becoming involved.
All right, sir. So he kind of gets to work on figuring out what that kind of patch will look like. At this point, Ivanikoth approaches the bridge and says, "Pardon me, Inquisitor. I know we are in the middle of an excursion. When you have a minute, I have found something rather interesting in the Billingberg's files about the creatures we were tracking from a Miss Rawls planet."
Excellent. Valentyne will patch the ship comms into his personal comm bead so he can wander around and still hear what's going on with Attikus. He'll also relay, Colonel and Eli, we believe there were a crew of 4, is what is predicted on board the ship you were aboard, which is known as the Iron Kestrel. If you find any more than 4 corpses, that is of particular interest. However, it should be a human crew. I don't see any signs of it being abhuman or xenos.
We'll do that, sir.
Excellent. Teseus, tell me a story. And he'll just walk him out of the bridge and to his quarters, which are right nearby, which is why he was there for all the boarding actions.
Mm-hmm. So Ivanikoth says, so we've been, the good Dr. Thunderhorn and I, we've been looking into ways to counteract the pheromones of the creatures found on Karu. But in our search, we actually found a note from Billingberg. It would seem that he had some interaction with Keru himself. Now, it seems that given that Kanehurst came through Last Gleaming so often through the Twilight Sector, that they had some, not run-ins per se, it does not seem from my records that they ever met, or that they were ever involved in any joint actions or had anything aside from, the casual encounter at the Citadel or major events. But it would seem that Billingberg was keeping tabs on a number of different Inquisitors and Inquisitors' actions, which seems to make sense with the conspiracy that he was involved in. And it would seem he became curious about these creatures as well. I suspect that he had the same fears you did, Inquisitors, as perhaps there was a way to weaponize these monsters, that perhaps Kanehurst's interest in the Chaos cult that was there had something to do with this. He actually sent one of his retinues there, and according to the records, he wiped out the entire species. They are all dead, which strikes me as somewhat odd, given that Kanehurst seems so interested in this technology, despite the creatures that it could speak to being dead.
Yes, that would suggest, based on the overall pattern that you've put together, Kanehurst either lied or there was an outside source so he could destroy the original. If he'd already discovered a synthetic, there's no need for the animals to still be involved, or the animals were not destroyed. Do we have confirmation on that action? Is there any way for us to move on this?
So he can show you the files, but basically Kanehurst sent, for lack of a better term, a kill squad planet side to wipe these things out. From their records, there doesn't seem to have been any interference with this species after the cultist Lanish. Specifically, they're they didn't find tags in their ears or anything that would imply someone's been tracking these things. Mm-hmm. They basically just showed up, looked for any evidence that there had been interference with species, and then just wiped them out. But it is confirmed that the creatures are dead.
Interesting.
With that, they did pull a sample of the breakdown of the pheromones, and within Billingberg's records, there is actually already a synthesized antibody because they, similarly, just in case, they made it, but there doesn't seem to be any suggestion that there was a farming of this or anything else.
Tremendously fascinating. It appears we're raising more questions than answers, but that means we're moving in the right direction. Conspiracies tend not to be fans of answers. They like questions, so we'll keep asking them. I am glad we found this antibody. Let's continue to prepare as though the worst is going to come, in celebration of the Emperor giving us these interesting tools through the means of dead heretics.
Indeed, Inquisitor. On that note, though, I do wonder, would you be opposed to me looping in Monsieur Kotov to perhaps see if he can bring some light to what possible applications this technology could have?
He is of use to us as a lexicon of knowledge and adaptation. Yes, you have permission to bring Kotov into this smaller circle.
May I ask, with Colonel Viss not being aboard the ship, who should I also include to murder him if he, steps out of line? I know the Colonel would be quite upset if he did not get to do the punching himself, but I guess who is the surrogate puncher in the case that there is surrogate punching to do?
With the lack of anyone else, it would be me. If you send me a message and I approve it and I'm unavailable to carry out the sentence, it will be Father Marcellus.
He does seem like the punchy type. Thank you, Inquisitor. I will get to work on this immediately.
Excellent. To be clear, no one can execute it without my green light.
Oh, yes. Like, he looks at you, like, almost like you just reintroduced yourself. Like,
Sorry. This is not a you thing. There are varying intellects and focuses amongst the members of this band. I do not mean to speak down to you. I'm aware that you are intelligent, and I'm aware that you are capable. I will do my best not to repeat myself obnoxiously in future.
Now he looks horrified. Just being like, Inquisitor, I did not mean to imply that you can repeat as much as you need to. It is totally fine. Of course, you must make the will of the Emperor clear. I mean, you speak with his voice, right? His voice must be a clarion call. I merely would, of course, never overstep in that way. But thank you for thinking of me in these terms, and your apology is beautiful and wonderful. It is completely not necessary. You tell me what you need, and we get it done. And he's like bow walking out the back door, just... This is too much for him.
Just know that I respect you. Oh, this is just backfired. Just disappointed in his own quarters, being like, "There's no winning."
Yeah. Meanwhile, back aboard the Iron Kestrel, Attikus and Eli, you've pulled yourselves in, and you find yourselves in a very poorly lit. Again, kind of almost like a Star Trek shuttle. Like it's almost like one long room sort of ship. There are little, you can see bunks near the back. There are a couple of enclosed areas. There's like an enclosed cargo hold. There's sort of an enclosed bathroom back there, as well as kind of a back landing ramp for kind of loading cargo. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, almost a bit of an RV vibe. In terms of just like, it's one big room. Everyone kind of does their thing. You can see sort of the classic dining / kind of planning table. A couple of chairs for kind of weapons use and, sensors, communications, that sort of thing. There's a central captain's chair kind of right up against the nose of the ship at the viewports. And in that chair, you find the only crew person that you can see kind of at first glance. Strapped in, there is a somewhat emaciated body that is, you get the sense that there was enough atmosphere in here that, they're not like an icicle, but also not, there's enough that the body's preserved, but also not so much that they're, frozen solid.
Gotcha.
And you can see that she's wearing, Eli, what you'd probably recognize as a fairly standard kind of boarding party combat suit, lightweight sort of flight suit combat gear. Mm-hmm. So, flight suit with like a chest plate, almost like a kind of what you'd see under like hockey, almost hockey pad style, kind of like chest and shoulders. Gauntlets. There would be a helmet normally. There's no helmet on her head now. Her hair is kind of like long blonde hair is just kind of floating almost in a halo around her head. As well as it frames almost like a grizzly sun, sort of a red bloom in the back of her skull where the bullet clearly came out. Her hands kind of drift in the lack of atmosphere. In one is a what looks to be kind of a knockoff bolt pistol. So it clearly fires like, taking a bolt round to the head means there's no head left. But, people have been trying to copy this design for years. So kind of an off-brand gun. Though, someone having killed themselves aboard a ship is concerning for a variety of reasons. Attikus, you're taking all this in, but Eli, after you notice kind of get a general lay of the land, your eyes rapidly focus on what's clutched in her right hand, which is a stoppered, gorgeous, mostly full bottle of Amsec, which, as you know, you do not have back aboard the ship. And honestly, will a corpse really miss it?
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter as Eli Sharp, Del Borovic at Deltastic on Twitter as Morgan Rawls, and our Game Master Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com, DELBOROVIC. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. We have merchandise available at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, and most importantly, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time. The Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Sammy Boy, Orion Birchfield, Scott Garland, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Shulzari, Christian Mendez, Spot Allen, Flynn 1138, Alarain Okapi, OMG It's Big Nick, Steve Wheeze, D&D and Things, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.